There's been a lot of talk with Modern Warfare as of lately. Players either loving it or, again, not really loving it. As we've talked about here on the channel a couple of times, it really just depends on which category you fall into. Both are totally understandable, and many players will say, for those that aren't too fond of it, that it's just one major update away from being something that they do love. And one of those things comes down to some of the tuning that we can end up seeing for existing issues and things that may be bothering some players. So today, I want to talk to you guys about what may be an update coming here within this week. We don't exactly know when it will be, but as you'll see in this video, there's still a lot to talk about with this. And of course, with it potentially being this week, it should be an eye-opener for sure. So we're going to talk about all of that, and then towards the later portion of this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the rumored overhaul that may be coming later on in the month. So that said, if you had to change one thing in Modern Warfare, what would it be? Let me know in the comments down below and why. And of course, if you're new to the channel, do be sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare. The daily content will still be here all the same, but it'll keep you guys in the loop for absolutely everything you need to know. That said, Joe Seacon has been the voice of the MP side primarily in recent times for Modern Warfare, in which over the last week we've seen various numbers of tweets addressing the state of the game, what we're likely to see tweaked, and going with it in stride. On October 28th, he mentioned, "It's amazing to have the game out. The feedback is overwhelming. Thank you. Some, but not all the things we're looking at: footstep audio, claymore interaction and feedback, player battle chatter and one life modes, and spawns." On November 2nd, he ended up saying, "Excited to get the footstep tuning in live along with these other changes, more updates in the works, including more restricted player callout logic, preventing enemies from hearing callouts in all modes, weapon tuning, and spawn updates." And then within the last day, he ended up saying a couple of more things in our sites in addition to the items in a below tweet, which was the reference tweet we just mentioned. He ended up listing off claymore balance, EOD adjustments, second round of footstep tuning, and more. And of course, some of these have already come to pass, some have not, and especially those ones in the last tweet there that is the most recent, because we haven't seen that update go live just yet. So your things though, like your player battle chatter and one life modes, that's been adjusted. We still are waiting on the bigger things like more footstep audio adjustments, claymore balance, and weapon tuning, but that stuff again could be happening as early as of, well, later this week, meaning tomorrow or Friday. But it's been nice to have these little glimpses, if I'm honest, because we haven't had much transparency compared to, say, when the beta happened and we had daily update notes and daily communication with the developers across all platforms, and multiple developers at that. It wasn't just Ashton from the communications team, it wasn't just Joe, it wasn't just Joel. It was everybody taking feedback in, communicating with that, but that's something that really is kind of natural. We should expect a little bit less discussion here because a lot of the times, right after launch, they're heads down trying to fix these issues. So they're definitely sponging up that information. They're taking everything into account. They just can't get to every single reply like they could in the beta. Like I said, they're more so just heads down fixing the bugs that are being sent, and things are a little more spread out in terms of the actual updates comparatively to the beta in terms of modes and showcasing more and more. They're more so centered on fixing things now and have more time to deal with rather than trying to put out as much in terms of updates in a 7-day span compared to, well, we have the whole year now. Naturally, it shouldn't last a whole year, but you get my picture. These updates, though, have admittedly been a little, well, non-existent, though, for the issues that are currently persisting. I have absolutely zero place to say that there should be more because I don't have a shred of developmental experience, but it is odd to me that we've only seen one additional title update for the game for fixes and such since the game has launched. But moral of the story is that we're having a little bit of communication, for the MP side at least, via Joe Seacon on Twitter as of lately. He's kind of been front and center for this discussion here and talking about a lot of what is being adjusted. But one of the big things I gravitated towards was that of a tweet from Joe talking about weapons tuning, indicating that there's going to be more than one weapon tuned, and of course in this presumable update pass going live later this week. But we don't know all that much about what will be adjusted, how many weapons will be, in what ways, and so on. So I'll give you my thoughts for what I think could be adjusted, but naturally it's just speculation at that point. But what has been confirmed here as a change is the 7.25 shotgun is going to be adjusted in some capacity. It's been under some heavy fire, and I mean, well, naturally, have you seen some of the clips that have gone around with this thing? If you haven't, here's a couple on screen for you. Now, if I were to guess what the 7.25 would have adjusted to it, I'd say maybe like an effective range nerf minus the slug rounds, perhaps a bullet velocity reduction, maybe a different hip fire spread. There literally could be a number of different things here that could work with this because right now it's the best sniper in the game. And yes, I know what I said. That wasn't any mistake. It is literally a sniper rifle, but with a shotgun's mobility, shotgun's handling, and all things considered. Shotguns are close quarters weapons, but this thing, you can literally take somebody out across the map if you have the right attachments, as evidenced by this clip that pretty much went viral from Reddit user T-Moles. Other weapons tuning past things, though, that I would expect in terms of other weaponry, just specifically to the weaponry, of course, we'll talk about a little bit more in just a second, but I would expect things like the PKM, the M4A1, and the FAL being adjusted. The PKM has that mobility that, again, rivals that of the Titan when it was in its OP phase, and of course, with its damage, its fire rates, it's still one of the best weapons in the game, if not the best. Maybe not the most meta, because the 725 might be elbowing that out a little bit. The M4 has a tighter hipfire spread with some attachments than literally any SMG in this game. The recoil is almost non-existent on that thing, and the handling, again, makes it a step above every other weapon in its category. And things like the FAL just need adjustments because it is quite literally broken. I don't know if you've seen any clips of the recoil of the thing, but it ends up sending your aim skyrocketing. No exaggeration. I would imagine, generally speaking, that other weapons do get some slight adjustments as well. We won't just see our first major weapons tuning pass being only for specific weapons. I'd expect maybe some generalizations, like some ADS in speeds or something like that, or some damage increases for the M19 or something like that. Something that includes a little bit more from across the board rather than just a few specific standouts. But naturally, though, we will see other items, and that's already been listed. Things on the most upcoming docket include those EOD adjustments, that second round of footstep tunings on the chopping block. Now, EOD, per Joe, was said that it'd be coming because it doesn't do as good a job as previous perks to allow for the blockage of explosives. That's probably something you've seen or maybe even experienced firsthand when it comes to explosives and claymores and such. I've seen plenty of times that my friends I was playing with would still get one hit by claymores whenever they had EOD, despite being even out of that logical range of that blast radius. Footstep audio, that's definitely something that needs to be coming. I believe my good friend Ace was actually one that broke down the footstep audio and concluded that it was barely a change from pre-patch to post-patch audio, which is wild. Forgive my ignorance if that's a mistake, but if I remember correctly, that was the outcome. And as we mentioned, the only thing, unfortunately, is that this is listed as coming soon, but with no definitive date. This was said by Joe himself, but my guess is still sometime this week, though we have honestly zero idea of a solidified date, but with the timing, it seems like we'll have more of these on a weekly basis. With what we saw with the last title update, it was kind of that 1 week mark, a little bit afterwards, but though we still don't have a set update date like we did in Black Ops 4, we'll likely get to that point relatively soon. And speaking of Black Ops 4, that actually did happen today, where we got an update in Black Ops 4 that added a few things, a new weapon in particular, a bunch of content in the black market and reserves, and there will be a huge overhaul to that black market coming this upcoming Tuesday, but that's a story for another day because I do have quite a bit to say on that. But anyways, overhaul buzzword having been hit with Black Ops 4, that brings me to the idea of the overhaul, the rumored overhaul for Modern Warfare. What we listed is awesome: the 725 nerf potentially, the M4 adjustment, the PKM adjustment, the EOD buff, the footstep audio and tuning passes. Those stuff are really awesome on a technical level that can make the game more playable to players in some capacity, but the things like changing the overall design intent for how a game was played that doesn't encourage camping like it does now, that's not something that can be done simply with a tuning pass or a title update. That's something that a simple patch isn't going to fix. Map design, perk structure, general gameplay flow, that stuff literally can't be done without an overhaul. Your weapon balancing, perk balancing, etc., that can be, but the rumored overhaul, still while not addressed by Infinity Ward in any capacity, is rumored to be the end of the month. And right now, with zero mention of it officially, if it does happen, I don't know if I'd expect it any sooner. I think I might have a video coming up here in the next week or so talking about my thoughts on the things that I think should be changed, and that's totally opinionated. That's something that you don't have to agree with every point that we make in that video. But when we talk about things like general perk structure, having dead silence be a field order, whereas it could have been something that combats Ghost in that perk too, because honestly, Ghost isn't contested in that perk 2 slot, so you're pretty much going to be gravitating towards Ghost no matter what. So whenever you don't have things that offer that choice, which may result in players not using Ghost and may result in them having to move whenever they end up hearing there's an enemy UAV above, that stuff can't be simply fixed with some smaller technical changes. So whether or not that stuff does in fact happen, I have no idea. I would like to see that happen, but for right now, we're only going to be focusing on the, I guess as weird as it sounds to say, these smaller things like these weapon tuning passes, because until an overhaul happens, if it does it all again, we won't see these larger things the community is maybe asking for being really addressed outside of, again, weapon tuning, again, perk tuning, stuff like that that is a more minor adjustment. But anyways, I think that's where we're gonna wrap it up. I'm sorry, that kind of got rambly towards the end there, and I do apologize on that, but wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about the information we have for the upcoming updates here. Again, hopefully this week. I would love to see this happening as of tomorrow, Friday, Saturday, and the sooner the better for some portions of this. But that said, if you're somebody that loves the 725, maybe get your progress for your camos done as soon as possible, because it might not be as easy to use in the upcoming days. But anyways, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Is there anything in particular that you guys are looking forward to here out of this change? Anything weapon-wise that you'd like to see tuned that maybe we didn't talk about or cover here with this? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But that said, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below. And of course, if you're new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Modern Warfare. If you guys want to get connected with me outside of YouTube a little bit further, Twitter and Instagram are the best places to do so. Practically live on both those. So if you guys want to strike up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. That said, thanks so much for watching. Mine is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.